Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's popular? So, let's talk about Nicki Minaj right quick. Not really Nicki Minaj as much as the surrounding circumstances. Okay, so really quickly, for those who don't know, Nicki Minaj came out with this with some comments that have been getting twisted about in the mainstream media, right? What they want you to think is that it's just about her cousin's friend's balls. Right? To be fair, there's actually oh no, I'm not gonna touch on that. As far as adverse reactions to the vaccination and stuff like that, but here's the truth of the matter. The core of what Nicki Minaj was saying was that, you know, I don't want to be bullied, and you should not be bullied to choose something without having done the proper research and deciding for yourself. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that, right? So again, the media is they would like to minimize what she's doing, and of course, you know, serious political pundits, whether in the establishment media or even independent in some cases, as I experienced this morning, I guess looked down as a joke. But the funny thing is, she's getting it right where a lot of you are getting it wrong. So, progressive arguments about healthcare, Medicare for all, healthcare as a human right, progressive arguments about a living wage, and that no one should be working and not earn enough money to take care of themselves and feed their family. Progressive arguments that the establishment, the government, the administration, the powers that be aren't doing what they should do as far as taking care of us in this pandemic. At minimum, making sure that essential workers and those who are out here grinding it out, dealing with these circumstances, aren't just, you know, left in the dust, right? Progressives who are talking about our leaders shouldn't be at the whim of big pharma and blah 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 blah. Progressives who are talking about who are chastising the Biden administration, Congress, and the like for not doing something about the housing, eviction moratorium, because no one should be evicted in the pandemic, right? Those are the points that these progressives are making. Progressives who, if I didn't say this already, let me say it again, who are pro-choice because it's a woman's body and she has the right to choose, meaning it's that person's body. They have the right to choose and they should have access to health care. Progressives who make the point that discrimination is wrong. I'm pretty sure these are all progressive values. Well, these same people, and not just the Twitter sphere, I mean, Twitter is like a toilet bowl. What I find to be disheartening is the same people who I look to for information, who I tune into to get their takes on politics, to get an independent take on politics, right? Or at least a progressive take on politics, right? Because that's supposed to be the clear-minded take, right? Are now vying for, or are now becoming mouthpieces for something that's very sick. Like, if healthcare is a human right, as Bernie says it, how is it that you're also willing to say those who are unvaccinated shouldn't have a right to care, like medical care? And you can't catch what I'm saying if you lean that way because you heard the word unvaccinated, and upon the mention of the word unvaccinated, your brain just leaves your ear. It leaves it. Your brain comes out, falls to the floor, rolls around, and then what comes in is Donald Trump, Trump hate Trump, Republicans racist, unvaccinated, propaganda. It's all propaganda, you see what I'm saying? Unvaccinated, this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. I've never heard of that. No, I've never heard of that. Like, really. I hear you guys saying it because the same establishment who you rail against say it, and then you turn and say it, and it makes me wonder, where do you get your media from? If I'm trusting you, right, and I got some of you in my links down below as trusted sites for information, but you are spewing mainstream talking points, I don't think you're trusted. I don't think you're trustworthy. And I may have to go through that list and comb some people out right quick because it's problematic, you see. Now, it's one thing to be objectionable, to be objective, but it's another thing to slant on down with the establishment. And that's what you're doing. You're laying down with the establishment, whether you know it or not, whether you're willing to recognize it or not. I'm going to keep my feet up right now. So, and I got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, just a little small chip. It's a small chip. I contacted, I was doing this little segment with one of my trusted sources of information, right? And as I was talking and it was ending, I heard one of the hosts call out the point that I made, which I just made to you, about, you know, I have the right to choose what goes in my body. That's propaganda. And I heard it and I didn't believe it. I was like, wait a minute. To the point that I just kept moving, and you know, it was wrapping up, blah blah blah. But then I sat and I thought about it. I was like, this cat just say that something I said was propaganda. And you know, initially, because you know I'm all about some pettiness. Initially, I was like, you know, in my mind, I'm like, mother. But then I lean back and I think, and I'm like, that's the thing right there. Like, that's it. And it's apparent in so many examples around us, right? It's funny because people always talk about, like, how did we get here? How did this happen? Like, take for instance Syria. If you're up on Syria, if you're not up on Syria, real quick, U.S. has been trying to do some regime change there for a while now by blaming Assad for gas attacks, chemical attacks on his people, which never happened, which has been proven not to have happened, right? Now you have whistleblowers come out and talk about this and a whole bunch of information. Go read up on it, right? But we say, how do we get here? Why we have these whistleblowers? Why isn't the mainstream media covering this? Why is no one believing the whistleblowers? You have things like Afghanistan. I'm drawing these parallels because I want you to see that these things are not that far removed from one another. Afghanistan, 20 years in Afghanistan, trillions of dollars wasted in Afghanistan. And what do we say when we finally pull out? We say, how did we get here? Why was none of this stuff talked? You know, when all the dirt starts coming out, you know, because it's over now, and the people's going to make the money. Have made the money, right? They made the money, and they want more money, but they've made their money. And so now, when all the evidence is coming out, all the smoking guns are popping down, right? Because they're easy to find now, right? It doesn't take much work to see to go back and read the Afghanistan papers that you ignored when they first came out, right? It doesn't take much to look back at, you know, all the trillions of dollars that was wasted is being reflected, because now there's a piece of paper that says, hey, we left X amount of vehicles and weapons and years of over there that tallies up to X amount of dollars. There are documentaries now that say, XYZ White House administration official or government official was in bed with whatever contractor company, and people make money off this and KBR that and all this stuff. It's easy to get that now, to look back on that now. Hindsight, that's why I say hindsight is 2020. It's easy to look back on that now because they've made their money and all the dirt's been done. The time for heroism has passed and all the bodies are laying there. So it takes nothing to step over a body. It takes nothing to step over a body, right? You just step on, like you step over homeless people all the time, right? It takes nothing to do that. But during the course of the thing, right, of the horrible thing, when whistleblowers are blowing, when all these little things, all these little pointers are being made, right? All these little signals, signals are being popped that, hey, something's wrong here, something's wrong here, something's wrong here, something's wrong here. Those things are ignored because apparently if the mainstream media doesn't cover it, it's not valid in some people's eyes. And also a lot of people are just waiting for someone else to cover it, someone else to validate it before they are willing to discuss it or take the viewpoint. And to me, that's lazy, it's cowardice, and really complacent. Complacency kills. That's what we used to say in the Army. The complacency kills, right? So, shit, I don't even got to go that far. We can make points of like going back to like the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. I think the 60s, the 60s, and the 70s, right? No, actually, no, 50s, 60s, and 70s, right? Different examples of big pharma and government officials moving lockstep to push drugs and vaccines and stuff like that on the public. Let's just say drugs, so that way we don't trigger anybody, right? And at the time when people were raising red flags, didn't matter, right? But now we can look back on those things because of the internet and we can just judge and we can critique. Well, how did this happen? Why would we let that happen? I just find it so horrible and incensing that we let that happen, but you're letting it happen again. And that is the point. Like you're literally doing it right now. Like they'll say 9/11, never forget. But then, but then you're letting all kinds of other things happen right now because no one's taking notice, no one cares, no one's standing up. When people are making their complaints and whistle blowing, right? If it's not validated by the circle that you think is the validating circle, you're not covering it or you're not willing to pay attention, so it doesn't matter, right? So basically we're just lining up the next event so that we can say, how did this happen? So to Nicki Minaj's point, you should be able to research for yourself, find out what the best direction is to take for your body, whether it's to or not to. It's your right to choose because last time I checked, we have that right. And what we have is a propaganda machine that is in heavy overdrive. And people that you would expect to stand up against this are actually moving in lockstep, and that's real fucking sad. That's why I think the whole Minaj story, that's why I think the whole Nicki Minaj story is actually pretty important. Because what you're getting, if you're wise enough to lean back and look at it, what you're getting, what you're seeing is a front row seat to an empire, a corrupt empire, trying to shut down your ability to think for yourself in real time. And if it wasn't like, I mean, because when they did it to Donald Trump, like, you know, everybody hates Trump, so it didn't matter, right? But this is Nicki Minaj. You don't hate Nicki Minaj. She makes the music you like. It's got the boom. It's got the boom boom in it. You think what I'm saying? So this is why they can't just shut her down. They have to trivialize what she's saying. They have to make you think it's about the balls, when really it's about your right to choose, your neighbor's right to choose. Let me tell you something. If you find yourself in a place where you are saying that a person shouldn't be allowed care in a hospital, right, that their insurance pays for, right, for their care, the person should not be allowed care because they chose not to put an experimental drug in their body, something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with you. Especially if you are the same person that says that a woman should have the right to choose and everyone should get health care. If you believe that it is irresponsible, if you believe it's irresponsible to make a medical decision for yourself based off of the information that you have found, something's wrong. Anyone who believes that of another person, something's wrong. Because that's what it's all about, as far as I know. Like, you got choices in different hospitals, choices with different doctors, small bit of choice in plan. Even the whole idea of Medicare for all is about having choice, right? It's about having choice, access and choice. As far as I know, we don't say that, oh, if you fat, you shouldn't be able to get in the hospital, take a bed, because that bed is mine because I'm healthy and I might need it. If you are looking at the person who needs the health care, right, who may hypothetically need the health care, because you're not even talking about definitely, you're talking about hypothetically might need the health care, might need to be in the hospital because they got sick or whatever. COVID, fine, because they didn't take the jab, fine. If you're looking at that person as the enemy or the wrongdoer, but you're not looking at our government who's spending trillions of dollars in other countries, who's writing off billions of dollars to Wall Street and investment bankers and all that, who's allowing investment firms to buy up all the homes in our neighborhoods, right? Who are allowing people to be evicted after they shut down the goddamn country, right? Who have spent no money on building any new hospitals, any facilities, who have been wrong from the beginning in every single way about their plans and their ideas as to how we should go about this COVID thing, who have had to backtrack, who have literally lied, who are suppressing your ability to even say a word in a direct message to another friend about something that you are concerned about. If you're not looking at them, if you're not voicing concern about them, and you sooner take the path of saying that someone who is sick, who's got a family, who's working for their day-to-day check to be able to go home and not afford their bills, that person shouldn't get health care because they didn't want to take the chance on taking an experimental drug. And according to the information that is readily available on VIIRS and many other locations, that there are side effects, there are long-term effects. And yet again, because it is experimental, you don't know what the long-term effects are, because typically it's 2 to 7 years. I think it is anywhere from 2 to 7 years for a vaccine to be completely tested and deemed safe and approved and put out, right, to be developed. And in this case, we got it in some months. And it's already been a lot of information that's come out and shown that certain tests were only done on certain groups. And other information, say, for instance, how it affects a woman's menstrual cycle, those studies have not been done until now because many people have complained about it. And when they did complain about it, you said, oh, no, that doesn't really happen. When it was really happening, you're looking at those people and saying that they're being irresponsible, when really they're being very responsible. They are concerned because those people are just like you, fighting every day to make sure that their family has what it needs or has some semblance of what it needs to make it to the next day. And you now want to say it's okay to have this person make a choice between taking something that they do not deem safe or they are not 100% comfortable with or confident in, or lose their livelihood. You are fucking wrong. You are immoral. You are irresponsible. And it's probably not the best way to, win you over by saying that you are fucking wrong. You are irresponsible. You are immoral. You are, subscribing to propaganda. But sometimes you just got to say what the fuck it is. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just got to. So yeah, Nicki Minaj. It's amazing that Nicki Minaj has turned out to be the hero that Bernie could not be and would not be. That's absolutely hilarious to me. How ironic. But yeah, 2021 and 2020 have been some amazing years, right? Like, it's just been so all fucking revealing. Let me just say this to you people who are on the same side of the table as I am, right? Which is unfortunate that we have to be on the side of the table. But Don't look for validation from the people that you disagree with. You're not going to get it. Don't look for validation from the sources that you disagree with. You're not going to get it. Don't look for, don't wait for validation from an establishment, from a government entity that is literally there to herd you into the sheep's bin. Because all you're going to get is herded into the sheep's bin, the corral, and probably the slaughterhouse. I'm going to leave it there because I can go on forever about this. Agree, disagree, like what I'm saying, dislike what I'm saying. It's all good. Comment down below. Share it. Subscribe would be good. Most importantly, though, have this conversation with somebody that you trust and have this conversation with someone you disagree with and see where you guys can meet in the middle, or at minimum, see what you can learn from that person, and hopefully they can learn from you. That's all I got. Doses.